Jen from Fabulous Paper Emporium. So glad you could join me today. Today I'm showing you a napkin fold. It is not a new thing. It goes back quite a few years. I'm not really sure who came up with this idea. It just, from what I understand, came about when somebody saw, I guess, the napkin being folded. I don't know. But I know it goes back a while because I made this card a long time ago, and it was so simple, doesn't require any special tools. Basically, if you have a scoreboard, great. Otherwise, a ruler and a bone folder work just as fine. You need a paper trimmer or scissors and a ruler and a pencil, and that works equally as fine. And basically some beautiful paper, some cardstock, some solid cardstock, and some glue, and away you go. Everything else, you can decorate it as much or as little as you want. Today, I've kind of let the designer paper speak for itself. And again, I'm using a lumberjack Christmas. So we're using some more of this. I'm showing this a lot. I had it in my previous video making the pop-up box card, and this is just more of the same paper. Same collection, but I've gone in a completely different route. So for this card, we have a belly band, which is holding everything nice and compact. Once we take this belly band off, and I've used one of the journaling cards for it, we have this stunning card that opens like so. See, it's been contained for quite some time. So when I pull it out all the way, you can really see it's a full sheet 12 by 12 that has just been folded in such a way that it folds up into this nice little 6 by 6 piece. So there's so many panels to have fun with and to decorate. I've decided to go with just the two different patterns for today, but you could easily change that up. You can make it a combination of patterns and solids. You can even make this the background a pattern, but personally, when I'm using pattern paper, I really want that to stand out. So that's why I go this route. And then we obviously have our belly band. I've used, like I said, the journaling card, and we will make that as well. So let's get started. I'm going to set this aside. We'll go through our pieces. So today I'm basically making the exact same version today as what I just showed you. So we're going to start off with our base. Our base is a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. One thing I should note before I go ahead is if you are using cardstock, you've just bought it at wherever, let's say a big box craft store that is popular throughout North America, just make sure that your cardstock really is 12 by 12 because they tend to be a little bit on the longer side, and that goes for the 12 by 12. It also goes for the 8.5 by 11. I don't know how many times I thought my measurements were off when it was the cardstock that I didn't check. I just assumed that a 12 by 12 was going to be a 12 by 12. Sometimes it's 12 and a 16th. Sometimes it's 12 and an 8. And I will show you. This is one of the strips that came off of my 12 by 12. So just make sure because it will throw things off. So we're trying to be, as precise as possible. We don't expect perfect. I think it's May that says, who is another fabulous crafter in the US, a paper crafter. And she says, we don't do perfect around here. So we try, but it ain't nobody perfect. So anyways, so back to the measurements. 12 by 12. We will be scoring this at 3 and 9 on two sides. We also have a piece that is 2 by 12 or 12 by 2, and that is going to be for our belly band. And then we have another piece which is going to go on the inside, and this piece is cut at 5.5 by 5.5. We also have some, whoops, before I get into the designer paper, we have a white piece of paper, and the white cardstock is just so that I had a little bit of contrast between, obviously, if I had just stuck this red piece on the red piece, it would defeat the purpose. I did want another layer. And if you are stamping with black ink or writing with a black pen, it is totally legible on the red. There's enough of a contrast that it totally will work. It's completely up to you, but if you want to flip it around, then by all means, you can always make your base the white with the red that comes through. But just keep in mind that these pieces probably won't pop quite as much. So just keep everything into consideration. Take everything into consideration. And then we have our designer paper. So today I'm using this lovely black with the pine cones with holly berries and greenery and such. This particular piece is cut at 5.5 by 5.5, one piece. And then I have two pieces of this coordinating paper, and this is cut at 5.25 by 5.25. You can also, I will bring out my belly band again, is I decided to add some pieces of designer paper to the belly band as well. I will kind of go through that in a little bit. So when we make the belly band, I will go through that measurement. So I haven't forgotten about it. But I did forget about, if you are using a journaling card, this journaling card is 4x4. You can use whatever size journaling card you want. You can use whatever you'd like. If you wanted to cut out a piece of white paper or white cardstock and stamp on it, use some stickers, ephemera, what have you, you can always do that. Just, I cut this red piece of paper, or the red piece of cardstock, I cut that a little bit larger. So the red cardstock is 4.5 by 4.5. And like I said, the journaling card is 4x4. So just giving myself that extra 1/2 inch gives me a 1/4 inch roughly around as a border. Okay. So now we're going to get into some scoring first, which is just going to be on this big guy, the 12 by 12. So I'm going to take out my scoreboard. If you have a pencil and a ruler and a bone folder, you are all set. So what I'm going to do is, obviously it's 12 across because it's 12 across, and we're going to score at 3, and then we're going to score at 9. Then we're going to flip it and turn it 90 degrees, and then we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to score at 3, and then we're going to score at 9. And so again, we have kind of a checkerboard kind of pattern evolving. Put the scoreboard away. And then what we're going to do here is we are going to do some folding. So it is pretty important that we make sure that all of our lines are all lined up. So the edges are all aligned. We're going to burnish this really well. And then we're just going to go around the cardstock and continue the exact same thing. So go walking around the sheet of paper and we are burnishing as we go. Last one. And then I'm going to do something that we don't normally do, like when we're making our standard cards, is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to fold all the pieces. You really want the cardstock, those fibers to be really broken in. Perfect. We really want those broken in because when it comes to folding, you want the paper to work with you, not against you. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is I am going to bring out my paper trimmer. I'm going to bring out the wee little baby. And for this one, we are going to line up our side at 6. We're going to put this down. We're not cutting So don't get excited. Don't start cutting stuff. We're going to have a pencil. And so we've got our edge lined up at 6. And then along my cutting, this handle, bar, whatever you want to call it, I've also got measurements on this side. So I found 6. I'm just going to stand up for a second. So that is 6. Yes, I don't have my glasses on. So 6. So what I'm going to do right here where it would be cut is I'm making a little pencil line. So I don't know if you can see that right there. That pencil line is basically telling me where the middle of my paper is. So it's going to be pretty important for our next step. So now we're going to fold each corner. We're going to fold it in towards that pencil mark. What you also are going to do at the same time when you're making these folds is you are making sure 2 things. A, that your point is as close to that dot as you can possibly get. You're also making sure that these score lines kind of make a nice line and that they all meet up. And then the last thing, which should happen as you are creasing, is you'll notice that, I'm going to get my bone folder first, is that the bottom of this box right here, the very, very tip is where that score line is. So then the first one is kind of the trickiest one because I know it's like, oh my gosh, what if I made a mistake? It's paper. It's not a problem. I'm sure it's fixable. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm making sure that all my lines are kind of lined up. I'm making sure that my bottom, as I'm creasing, making sure that that is at the very tip, and then we burnish. And we're going to continue doing this all the way around our card until we have all of our sides folded. If there's a little gap, like, don't worry about it. It happens. It happens to everybody. It's happened to me. It'll probably happen to you. If it's not this card, it'll probably happen on another card. It's handcrafted. It's beautiful. It will be stunning, and the person that you give it to will love it. So there we have it. So now that all of our pieces are folded in, we are of course going to fold them back out, flip them around, and get these folds extra loosey-goosey, I guess, kind of. Perfect. Okay, because again, the paper's going to work with you, not against you. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. Okay, so the next part that we have to do is this fancy kind of folding, like origami almost, that sees the paper fold in on itself, and then we're going to flip that back. So to do that, I'm just going to fold that there. So to do that, takes a little bit of maneuvering. And what we are going to do is you're basically pushing this part down, so the middle of the big point, and we're folding this over like that. So it's working with you, believe me, it is. So these 2 pieces, because we've got them already folded, we fold those 2 pieces in, and then we'll be left with like a box. And then we're going to make sure that that's all folded. Grab your bone folder if you've got one. Make sure that that's all nice and neat. Okay, what we will be doing is we're also going to be flipping this piece back. So you try to get it as close as possible to the tip. And then there we go. And we're going to do this all the way around. So again, it's you take your big triangle, we're going to meet those in the middle, and then we're going to press down our box. Okay, burnish the sides, and we fold it back. And then we're going to continue on doing that. We've only got 2 more to do. Okay. I really shouldn't be lazy. Get your bone folder out, burnish that. You do want your lines to be nice and crisp. And then the very last one is pretty easy to do. There we go. And isn't that easy? I mean, seriously. It's just take your time and just, you know, I can't even tell you. Sometimes it has taken me a couple of the 12 by 12s to kind of master it, but it really, and even then, like nothing is going to be 100% perfect. You'll get it as close as you possibly can. So now that we have all of our complicated folding done, and I use that term very loosely because I know you can do it. We're going to take our designer paper and we're going to have to do some cutting. So I am going to reach for my paper trimmer again. And we're going to go with our designer paper that is 5.5 by 5.5. We are going to cut it into triangles because this particular piece is going to be the largest piece, and that's going to fill in these areas. If you wanted to do just one pattern for everything, then it's equally as beautiful. I've seen many cards done like that, and they're stunning. I feel like this is a beautiful card, no matter what. So, okay. So what I'm doing first is I'm lining up my points, the tips of either end, and I've laid my blade in the middle. Now, the reason why you want to do this, whether it's a sharp blade, a new blade, it doesn't really matter. I have found that the best results come when you cut from the middle out, and then this way you're not putting any pressure on the corners, and they are just as crisp as when we started. So I'm going to put some pressure on my blade. So now it's in the paper. I'm going to push it out. And then as you come back, just come back gently, just in case the paper shifted at all. And then you come back down. And you're left with 2 very crisp points and no damage. And then what I do from here on out is smash your paper against the arm. So that way you've totally crushed it. Anyhow, it's paper. It's fine. It's going to get glued down. It's not a big deal. So then I move my blade to the bottom because, again, there's going to be least resistance if I'm cutting along the flat edge as opposed to cutting on the point. So I'm going to start from the bottom and I'm just going to cut upwards. And these are the 2 pieces we're going to set aside. I'm going to cut this one the exact same way, putting the edge all the way to the bottom, making sure my tip is in line, and push up. So for the 5.5 by 5.5, we want that to be 4 pieces. So we've got our 4 pieces. We're going to set those aside. Now we're going to cut these in a very similar way. So we're going to start again by lining up the 2 tips. So it's kind of in a diamond shape. I'm going to make sure that for this one, I've got like a wire that tells me where the cutting blade is going. So I'm making sure that wire runs through both tips. And again, press down, we go downwards, and then we go back up. And that gives us 2. I'm going to move my blade down. Now we're going to repeat this so that we have, I believe, 8 per 5.25 by 5.25. So now we have those, and then you're going to do it one more time. So it's one more time then with the 5.5 by 5.5. So this is the size that we're looking for. So we're going to set those aside, and then we're going to do that with this one. And then we're going to do that with this one. So I'm going to finish off cutting the pieces, and I'll come back with you in just a second because you don't need to see me do this. So I'm going to do my best to get this done as quickly as possible. Okay, so all of our pieces are cut. We can put our paper trimmer away, set it aside. And now comes the fun part, decorating. Yay, everybody wants to decorate. So we're gonna lay our card or the base out, and here is where, I mean, hopefully you've already given it some thought. So this is where these are going to go. They're going to lay down on those 4 sides, and then the rest of the areas you're just going to fill in with the other pattern paper. So if you decided to go with one, that's totally fine. I think I am going to take my, my vintage photo, because as you can see on this particular paper has a white core, which is not uncommon for printed paper, but because it's so dark, that white really does stand out. So if I just go over it with a bit of ink, then it basically disappears and it looks pristine. So if I can make my paper look perfect, that is great. And other than you, like, nobody else would really know that this was done. It's not like it's adding color. It's just for this particular paper, it's getting rid of that really stark white, which is in a decent contrast to the black that is on the front. So we don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to finish up doing this. And then my next step is placing the pieces. I'm going to place a few. I'm just doing this really quickly. I'm going to place a few just to kind of give you an idea. I mean, it's from here on out, not really rocket science, so I'm sure you guys could figure it out. Let me set that aside. I'm going to set these pieces aside for right now. I'm going to grab my glue and then just go from, just do a bit of a quick perimeter, little zigzag in the middle, and then, okay. So you do want to keep an eye on kind of all sides. Make sure that you have as even of a border around as possible. It gets easier as you fill in the paper because obviously once you have one piece down, then it becomes a little bit easier to see those fold marks. And then you see all the red, the contrast. This is why I like the contrast, is it does make it easier, obviously, to apply your designer paper. If this was white, it might be a whole lot more challenging to get it all in place to where you have even borders. So that's basically what you're going to do. I'm going to fill in the rest of this, and then I'll come back. Sorry, I don't know where my lid went there. I just don't want to get this ink on anything else. So we will come back. Then we'll do the belly band, and then that'll be that. All right, I'll catch up with you in a second. Okay, so here I am done applying all of this gorgeous paper, and I'm not going to stamp anything on the inside. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but I do have the stickers. Where are my stickers? Did want to show them to you, but of course now I can't put my hands on them. They were right here. Oh well, I cannot find them. So I feel like they're staring me right in the face. Yep, that's what was happening. So I might take one of those stickers. I might take some of the stamps, do something really fun with the inside. I done one of the stickers on the inside, and I used the snowflake stamp, or one of the snowflake stamps from the that stamp set that I told you about earlier from the The collection, yeah. The Warm and Cozy Wish stamp set from the Lumberjack Christmas. So these are the rest of the 4x4 journaling cards that I have in this set. And I'm not really sure which one I want to go with. Like I said, you don't really have to go with a 4x4 if you don't want to. I may have already cut into the other paper that has some of the journaling cards. Oh no, these ones, I think I was going to use this for something else, but I decided not to. So I will choose something from here. I think I might do the Merry and Bright. I've already got the other. Oh, no, I think I will do the Merry and Bright. Sorry, something I should have had planned out a little bit more in advance, but I didn't, so I apologize. I'm just going to get my paper trimmer out real fast, cut this out. Then I have to get the base cut out, so I will do that really, really fast. And then we can get on with the show. You know what I mean? So these ones are 3x4. And with the 3x4, if I am cutting a little bit extra to go around the side, I'm going to do this 3.5 by 4.5. And kind of got some of the black in there, which I want to get rid of. So there we go. Okay. So I've got my Merry and Bright. Beautiful. So then I am just going to need some cardstock, which I'm looking in my bin. I don't really have any. Oh, I do. I do have some red cardstock. It's just waiting to be plucked. Give me some purpose. So I said 3.5 by 4.5. Come on, you. Don't make life difficult. There we go. Okay. I know there's paper stuck in there, but I'm just trying to get this done. So 3.5 by 4.5. Love it. If you wanted less of a border, then you can always cut less of a border. It's really up to you. It's, again, a personal thing. Sometimes I do a big border. Sometimes I do a little border. Depends if you will just want a little hint of color, or do you want it really to kind of speak to you? You want it to whisper, or do you want to speak? Or do you want to shout it? So either way. Okay, so now I'm going to get this all folded back in. This is going to go on the top and our belly band. So we're going to take our 2 by 12 and we're going to slide it underneath our card. And whenever I fold this, it never folds quite, I'm never even on either side, which is also why I said, don't, like, for the designer paper, if you are going to put a designer paper on and layer it up, that is totally fine. I would, however, I wouldn't fuss around with it too much. Your belly band is not going to meet in the middle. 12 by 12, despite the fact that this is 6 inches, there is some bulk to it, so it's not going to ever meet in the middle, and that's fine. You don't need it to meet in the middle. That is what the Merry and Bright is going to, or this is going to cover your little buckle for your belly band. Let's call it a buckle, for lack of a better word. And it doesn't have to be square. It doesn't have to be rectangular. You can do a circle if you happen to have fancy dies, and you can use those to cut out a lovely little label-y kind of thing. But for me, I'm just going to go with the square. And so if you did want to use some of the designer paper, I thought I had a piece cut. Oh my goodness, I do not. So I'm going to set that aside one time. And I'm going to cut, oh, I do have, I think, I do. Sorry, I did think I had it cut, and I do have it cut because I thought I had it cut. So I mean, you can place it all the way across if you want to. I don't feel like that is lining up. There we go. Sorry, let me just lift that up for a second. For a hot second, let me get this figured out. Okay. So what you can do is I wouldn't necessarily lay it across. You can, because a lot of this is going to be covered. So if I lay this on top, so you only see a little bit on this side, you're only going to see a little bit on the other side. So what I did with the other card is, so like, let's say right to where this part ends, you can measure it if you want to. I didn't. I just kind of lined it up to the side. And again, it doesn't really have to be very precise. And I just kind of snip that away. But you can definitely take your ruler. You can measure out. Just know that you may run into 8ths and 16ths. So if you're not afraid of that, that's totally fine. So I know the belly band is 2 inches width and 2 inches wide. So 1 3/4 is what your width is going to be on your designer paper. And then you just measure. So for this one, it's almost the quarter. So I would probably do this one at 2.5. So I would do this 2.5 by 1 3/4. And that way, when you're putting it on your belly band, you're really just lining it up with this side and then the top and the bottom. That's all you need to worry about. It doesn't matter really what this side looks like, because nobody's going to see it ever, unless somebody tears off the buckle part. And I feel like that did happen to me once, because I gave it to my mom and dad, and I don't think my mom realized that it was a belly band. Well, she wouldn't have realized it was a belly band because she doesn't make cards. So, and this was my first really intricate, fancy kind of don't just open it or tear it open kind of card. And yeah, so I feel like the belly band probably got torn apart, but that's okay. The other part of the card was beautiful and stunning, and they loved it, and that was that. So there we have it. So yeah, this side is not really perfect, but like as far as the inside goes, but the outside, I've made sure that I've got a lovely little border all the way around the outside, and then this is just going to stick on the inside, in the middle. Sorry, I'm going to do something I usually do. I sometimes do. Is I'm just going to put this on some foam, and that way we're going to do, of course, I've got my minis. I'm sorry, I still have not gone out to get some more foam squares, like decent foam squares, instead of these little mini ones. These poor little mini ones are getting all used up with these kind of things. That's okay. So peel those off. Oh, that worked out really well. And then we line it up and we press it down. And if you wanted to use glue, that's totally fine. That's what I used for this belly band. You just want to be conscious of how much you're gluing. I glue the belly band, not the actual cardstock, because the belly band doesn't meet in the middle. I didn't want to get overzealous and put glue where I wasn't supposed to, and then have the whole thing all glued together. So I did not do it that way, but there you have it. So like I said, your belly band slides off, and then you wow them with the inside of the card. Absolutely fabulous. I love this card. Putting the belly band on, though, I'm just going to suggest that you start at the top, and then as you pull it down, you push the bottom part with your thumbs, and then you can make sure. So you don't want, your belly bands are not intended to be super, super, super tight. So you want there to be some give. You don't want to force the two sides to meet in the middle, because they're never going to meet. And if they do, you're never going to get it off. So there you have it. So we have our napkin fold card. So I thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it. I enjoy our time together. If you do make your version of this card, I would love to see it. Please find us on Instagram or Facebook, always under Fabulous Paper Emporium. If you are interested in this paper, by all means, jot on over to our website at fabulouspaperemporium.com. And I hope to see you next time. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a great day. I will see you next time. Bye.